In this lesson, I'm going to demonstrate the concept of dictionaries in Python and how do we use dictionaries, what they are, and the purpose of creating dictionaries within the Python language. So what is a dictionary? All of the compound data types that we've been working in our previous lessons, such as strings and lists, are essentially sequence types, which can use integers as indices to access the values they contain within them. Dictionaries are similar. They are yet another kind of compound type. They are Python's built-in mapping type. They map keys and values, in other words, which can be any immutable types to values, which can be, again, of any type, just like the elements of a list. So think of a dictionary as simply a mapping mechanism where it's mapping your keys to values. Let's take a look at how to create a dictionary. In common use, a dictionary is simply a collection of words that matched with the definitions. Given a word, for example, you can look up its definition. And Python has a built-in dictionary type with a set of parentheses, which you can use to create dictionaries with arbitrary definitions for character strings. Parentheses is essentially the syntax for creating a dictionary. Let's take a look at this simple example. In this example, we are creating a dictionary that's going to translate English words to Spanish words. So let me in fact demonstrate this quickly. Let's click on File within our Python shell. New File brings up the Python editor here. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and let's start our dictionary. In fact, let me move this here. So I'm going to start off with a comment. This is our first dictionary in Python. And then I'm going to begin our values and essentially use the dict instead of parentheses. So all I'm doing here so far is assigning, using a simple assignment statement, and I'm saying the Spanish variable is essentially dictionary, right? So the word Spanish is now the dictionary. Next, I'm going to in fact create or start my dictionary creation. Now, in order to create your dictionary, we can use something called brackets, right? Very similar to lists. So in lists, we use brackets. Dictionary, we can also use lists. And there are a couple of other ways that I'm going to demonstrate using the dictionary as well, such as using the braces, right? For instance, but for right now, I'm going to simply show you how to create a simple dictionary using and mapping keywords and values. Next is my Spanish. And I'm going to use my brackets, and I'm going to say the word hello, which equals or which translates to the Spanish word. Similarly, my next word would be something like yes in English, which translates to sí in Spanish, and then of course hello means hola. Okay. All right, great. So to save time, I'm going to copy and I'm going to recreate and simply change the value so I don't have to type over and over again, right? So this will be something like 1, and 1 in Spanish is uno, and the next word is 2, and the equivalent Spanish translation, and then my word 3. So essentially all we're doing is creating a list, right? So we're telling Python that here's the English words, and then I'm going to translate them to the Spanish words. So I'm going to say something like red, which is rojo. Okay, great. And you can keep building the list. So it depends on your own requirement how lengthy the dictionary would be. You can in fact take the entire Spanish language and create a dictionary in Python. So once you're done with your words, for instance, then we're going to tell Python to print some of these. So I'm going to print then the variable Spanish, and let's say I'm looking for the word yes, and then I'm going to print another one from my dictionary, and this time I'm going to use red. Okay, great. So this is a simple way of creating a dictionary in Python. Let's run this. Let's see what happens. Let's click on run module. Source must be saved. Click OK to save. Brings up my Windows Explorer. I'm going to navigate to my Python folder here and call it my dictionary. Save. And Python displays the output and prints out the 2 words that I asked Python to do so. So in this case, it's C and Rojo, which means yes and red. So again, a simple way of creating a dictionary using brackets, very similar to list, right? So all you're doing is mapping your keywords with your values. All right, let's move forward. Let me demonstrate next the concept of using definition within your dictionaries. So using a function, in other words, to encapsulate the task of creating the dictionary is very helpful. And we can simply use the definition create dictionary set of parentheses and take the entire block of code and give it a name, and then eventually call the function within our code. So let me bring up the editor here, and let's click on the new file. Let me close the previous one, make it so that it's visible. All right, perfect. So this time we're going to create a dictionary using the definition function. So essentially following the same steps, but since we are using a definition function, we're going to create the function first, then create our dictionary, and then eventually call it. So recall from previous lessons, in order to create a dictionary or a function, we first define def. I'm going to say create dictionary is the name, and then a set of parentheses, and of course the rule says that I need a colon. As soon as I use colon, Python automatically indents it. And I'm going to give it some text here as well, such as this will return a tiny Spanish dictionary, right? So notice the 3 quotes is multiple lines of text if I need to. All right, great. So here's my dictionary. So I'm going to start creating my dictionary once again, which is again the same concept, set of parentheses. And let's see if I have it saved. So I'm going to use some of these words. So essentially the same word. And I'm just pasting and repeating the same words to save time. So here I'm going to say hello, yes, and then this was 1. And the other word was 2. And a couple other words were 3 and red, right? That's what we used last time. So I'm going to be consistent here. And my last word was red. Okay, great. So our dictionary is complete so far. Next, recall the rule in the definition function. Whenever we create, we need to create a return function. So return Spanish, and then we create a def main so that we can call it later. And here I'm going to say dictionary equals create dictionary, which is the name, and then tell Python to print it. So print some values here, dictionary, and I'm going to say print 2, for instance, and then also print dictionary, and also print, let's say, 1, and then finish it off with the calling the main function. Okay, great. So in this example, we're taking a look at how to create the definition function and use this block of code and call it later on in our program if need be. So we're doing the same thing. We're essentially creating a dictionary. Okay, so let's run. Click on run module. Okay to save. And I'm going to call it my dict2 and click save. And notice Python displays the output as DOS and UNO, which means we were looking for 2 and 1. And just to see whether we can call our main function, if we just say main, call our function, Python automatically knows the block of code, the output, and displays the output accordingly. So using the function or the definition, we can also create dictionaries or use them within our dictionaries. Now dictionaries can also be created by placing a comma separated list of key and value pairs within braces, for instance. Unlike our previous example where we use brackets similar to those of lists, we can also use braces to create dictionaries. So earlier we used the dict constructor, right? The dict and set of parentheses. This was one way to create a dictionary. Here we can in fact use braces and accomplish the same task using a set of braces and mapping those keys and values. So let me in fact demonstrate. Let me open up our editor here. So I'm going to click on File and New File here. Close this one. So here my first comment is going to be, we can create dictionaries using braces. And these are those curly braces on your keyboard. And what I'm going to show you here is that there are multiple ways we can create a same dictionary. So we're not going to create the entire dictionary each separate time. I'm going to show you multiple ways of using the curly braces and a combination of curly braces and brackets, so that when you're creating dictionaries, you're able to create them any which way that you prefer. Okay. So here, let's start off with a simple variable called a equals, I'm going to say dict, and let's say it's 1 equals 1, and then comma 2 equals 2. And see what's happening here. Instead of going vertical, I'm doing horizontal, right? So I'm mapping these keys and values for the word 1 to 1, and then for the word 2 to 2. And same thing for the word 3 equals 3. And then close our parentheses. So that's one way. To accomplish the same task to create a dictionary, let's continue on. This time I'm going to use a variable called b. And now I'm going to start off with the curly braces. Okay, so I'm going to use them with curly braces, and I'm going to say it's 1, it's to 1, comma 2 is to 2, and then comma 3 is to 3, and close it with our curly braces one more time. So this is another way you can do it. Let me show you a couple other ways. So it's C, for instance, and this time I'm going to include, let's say, the zip code here, for instance, or nest my zip code. And here my dictionary begins, such as 1, comma 2, comma 3, and then close my brackets, and then map them, of course, with 1, 2, and 3. Close my brackets, close my first set of parentheses, and then of course my second set of parentheses, because one set of parentheses is for the dict function, the other one is for the zip here. Okay, a couple other ways. D, for instance, there's another way. We can do something like open the parentheses and then start mapping and creating a dictionary using the brackets, and then do something like 2, comma 2, and then do 1, comma 1, and then last one, do our 3, comma 3, and we close our parentheses, then we close our brackets, and then our last set of parentheses for the dict function. All right, let's do one last thing I want to show you. Let's do E here, and the last part, the way we can do it is, and this time I'm going to use the curly braces and use 3 is to 3, comma 1 is to 1, and our last one is 2 is to 2. Close our curly braces and of course our parentheses. All right, perfect. So you see what's going on here is all we're doing is mapping our keys to values, whether we use our dict function, whether we use our curly braces or the brackets. So essentially, when we run this module, we are going to get the same output no matter what. So here we're going to do some print function here. Of course, we need to see the output also. So let's say if I do print A and run the module, see what happens. Click OK. And the output is 2, 3, and 1. And that's what A is, right? Similarly, if I do a print B, for instance, and run the module again, I'm going to get the same. It's going to say 2, 3, and 1. And the same is going to be true for C, D, and E variables here. And I can check using my Python shell here whether this holds true for all of my dictionaries. I can check by saying variable A equals B, and the double equal sign in Python means equal as in mathematics, right? So A equals B, and if this is all true, then I'm going to get a true value, right? So equals C, and my variable D, and finally it equals E. So hit enter on the keyboard, and Python says that this is true, right? So all of these essentially give you the same output. Even though we've used brackets, we've used curly braces, we've mapped values in any other ordered way. In other words, these are not ordered. Some are different, some are left to right. So when Python sees all of these, it says, well, the output is the same no matter which method you use. So a couple of ways we can create dictionaries. They're very powerful in Python and very helpful. So let's practice and let's move to our next lesson.